The central Voxuri's crystalline body pulses with rapid flashes of blue and violet as it approaches Elena. The military personnel surrounding her raise their weapons, but she raises a hand to stop them. "How do you know the sacred words?" the alien asks, its voice now perfectly understandable to her ears, though still unintelligible to everyone else in the room. No species at your development stage should possess this knowledge. Elena's mouth feels dry. "I don't know. I just heard you speaking, and somehow I knew how to respond." The security team grows increasingly nervous as Elena converses with the alien in sounds no human vocal cords should produce, clicks and harmonic tones that resonate through the chamber. Monitors around them flicker, and the air itself seems to shimmer when certain syllables leave her lips. "Bring her to our vessel." The lead Voxuri commands its subordinates, reaching toward Elena with a crystalline appendage that refracts light in hypnotic patterns. General Rodriguez steps between them. The doctor isn't going anywhere without proper diplomatic protocols, he states firmly, hand resting on his sidearm. The Voxuri leader tilts its geometric head. "Your species stands at the precipice of extinction or ascension. Your choice now determines which path you follow." Cameras broadcast this tense standoff to billions worldwide. In a Tokyo apartment, a college student suddenly understands every word the aliens speak and begins frantically typing translations. In Nairobi, a sleeping child murmurs the same phrases Elena spoke, causing her toys to float briefly before settling back down. "What are they saying, Dr. Vasquez?" demands the US president through her earpiece. Elena hesitates, struggling to translate concepts that human language lacks words for. "They're shocked that we can speak what they call the ancient tongue. They say it's sacred, something about shapers or precursors." The lead Voxuri's body dims to a deep indigo. "Every moment we delay brings greater risk. The council must be informed immediately." "What council?" Elena asks. "The 27, it replies, voice resonating at a frequency that makes nearby glass vibrate. "The stewards of order since the shattering. They will want to examine your species thoroughly." Military advisors whisper urgently to world leaders as tension builds. Satellite images reveal 5 more massive vessels materializing at the edge of Earth's atmosphere, each larger than the first. Elena feels a strange pressure building behind her eyes, fragments of impossible memories flickering through her mind. Vast cities of crystal and light, mathematical equations that describe the fundamental nature of reality itself, beings of pure energy communicating across the void between stars. "I'll go with you," she says suddenly, surprising even herself, as a representative of Earth, to understand what's happening. Protests erupt from officials, but Elena feels certainty growing within her. Whatever connection is formed between her mind and these alien visitors, it holds answers too important to ignore. The Voxuri's body brightens. A wise decision. The council approaches, and your world has mere days to prepare. "For what?" General Rodriguez demands. The alien's response sends chills through every person who hears the translation. "Judgment. The ancient tongue is not meant for species that still war among themselves. Its power reshapes reality itself, a tool of creation or absolute destruction. If humanity possesses this gift prematurely, the Council may deem your entire species too dangerous to exist." As Elena steps toward the aliens, the lead Voxuri adds something that the translators struggle to interpret correctly. Only Elena understands the true meaning. Or perhaps, as some ancient texts suggest, you are exactly what the precursors intended all along. Elena sits in a hastily converted conference room at the United Nations, her wrists adorned with strange metallic bands that the Voxuri insisted were necessary precautions. Holographic displays show increasing reports of phenomena worldwide. Children speaking in unknown languages, people experiencing identical dreams, and objects mysteriously changing states when certain sounds are uttered nearby. The genetic markers are unmistakable, the Voxuri scientist explains, its crystalline form shimmering as it projects complex biodata into the air. Dormant sequences within human DNA perfectly match precursor patterns found in ancient archives. World leaders exchange concerned glances as Elena translates. The Russian president leans forward. Are we to understand that these precursors modified our species? Elena translates the question, then relays the answer. Not modified. Created with purpose. Your evolutionary path was designed. The revelation sends shockwaves through the room. Humanity's origin as an engineered species challenges every religious and scientific understanding of human development. Protests erupt outside religious centers worldwide, while scientists frantically re-examine fossil records and genetic data. In a research facility beneath Geneva, geneticists make another startling discovery. The dormant genes are activating, Dr. Ishiguro announces during an emergency broadcast. Something triggered their expression globally, and the process is accelerating. Elena feels it herself, strange knowledge surfacing in her mind like bubbles rising from the depths of an ancient sea. Words and concepts she couldn't possibly know now feel familiar, formulae for manipulating reality itself dancing at the edges of her consciousness. What happens when these genes fully activate? Asks the US. Secretary of Defense, his face pale under the harsh conference room lights. The Voxery diplomat's body darkens to a deep blue. We cannot say with certainty. No species has ever undergone such a transformation within recorded galactic history. As the diplomat speaks, Elena notices something odd. She can see mathematical patterns in the air currents, probability waves dancing around each person in the room. When she blinks, the vision fades, only to return stronger moments later. Something's happening to me, she whispers, drawing concerned looks from human and alien observers alike. I can see patterns, relationships between objects and energy that shouldn't be visible. The Voxery scientists cluster together, communicating in rapid harmonics that even Elena struggles to follow. Their agitation is evident in the rapid color fluctuations rippling through their bodies. They're afraid, Elena realizes aloud. Not just concerned. They're terrified of what we might become. The Secretary General places a comforting hand on Elena's shoulder. How much time do we have before this council arrives? Before Elena can translate, every electronic device in the building activates simultaneously. Screens show identical images of massive vessels emerging from what appear to be tiers in space itself, their architecture so alien that human minds struggle to comprehend their true forms. They are already here, the Voxery leader states simply. Outside, darkness falls across major cities as enormous shadows blot out the sun. The council ships dwarf even the Voxery vessels, some stretching hundreds of kilometers in length. Humanity collectively holds its breath as these cosmic leviathans position themselves around Earth. In the sudden silence, Elena hears something impossible. Voices speaking directly into her mind in the ancient tongue. Billions of consciousness fragments encoded in human DNA awakening simultaneously across the planet. The message they form is simple yet profound. Remember what you were meant to become. Central Park has become unrecognizable. Crystalline structures erupt from carefully manicured lawns. Bioluminescent pavilions pulse with alien light, and atmosphere containment fields shimmer around habitats designed for species that breathe methane or chlorine. New Yorkers crowd against police barricades, their faces displaying a mixture of terror and wonder as creatures from beyond imagination conduct the most important diplomatic summit in human history. Elena moves between these alien embassies as Earth's reluctant ambassador, her mind increasingly overwhelmed by the awakening precursor knowledge. Each alien race views humanity through a different lens, some with religious awe, others with scientific curiosity, and a disturbing number with thinly veiled hostility. Humans should not exist as you are, explains a gelatinous diplomat from the city collective, its translucent body rippling as it speaks. Precursor gene sequences were scattered throughout the galaxy as safeguards, not to create inheritors. Elena struggles to focus as probability streams become increasingly visible to her perception. Safeguards against what? Before the diplomat can answer, Commotion erupts across the diplomatic quarter. A small group of human children has somehow bypassed security and wandered into the Central Council chamber. The squid-like High Arbiter is mid-speech when an 8-year-old girl interrupts. "You're saying it wrong," the child states with innocent certainty. The harmony requires triple resonance on the second syllable, not double. The High Arbiter's tentacles freeze in shock. "Impossible," she whispers in the common galactic language. That pronunciation technique was lost with the fall of the 7th precursor archive. More children begin speaking, their voices creating harmonic patterns that make reality itself vibrate in response. Objects within the chamber, glasses, data tablets, decorative plants, begin floating, surrounded by shimmering fields of possibility. Alina rushes to the chamber as security forces move toward the children. "Stop," she shouts. "They aren't doing this intentionally." The High Arbiter's skin shifts through patterns of blue and white, an expression of extreme distress in her species. Humanity's awakening is occurring too rapidly. The Council's assessment protocols require years, not days. "Assessment for what purpose?" demands General Rodriguez, who has accompanied Alina as military liaison. A towering insectoid diplomat steps forward, its carapace clicking as it speaks. "To determine whether your species will uplift the galaxy or destroy it." The Arbiter signals for calm. The ancient tongue is not merely communication, but reality manipulation at its most fundamental level. When correctly spoken, it does not describe reality. It rewrites it. Across the room, the children continue speaking in increasingly complex patterns, unaware of the existential crisis they're triggering. Fixtures begin to transform, metallic surfaces flowing like water, gravitational fields fluctuating unpredictably. "They must be contained," insists the insectoid counselor, "preferably off-world until proper study can be conducted." Alina feels knowledge crystallizing in her mind, understanding of what's actually happening. "You're afraid," she says, the revelation clear. "Not because we might destroy ourselves, but because we might surpass you." A hush falls over the assembled diplomats. "You speak with unexpected wisdom," admits the High Arbiter after a long pause. "But you understand only fragments. The precursors disappeared after reaching the ultimate threshold of knowledge. What they found there changed them forever, and nearly unraveled the cosmos in the process." As if to emphasize her point, the chamber lights flicker as reality itself seems to shudder. Outside, observers report strange phenomena occurring worldwide: localized gravity anomalies, temporary time dilations, matter temporarily phasing between states. "The Council vote has been taken," announces the Arbiter grimly. Earth is now under quarantine until humanity's connection to the ancient tongue can be properly understood, and if necessary, severed. The quarantine shields shimmer like heat mirages around major population centers, alien technology designed to contain not just people but the very words they might speak. Within these barriers, Earth attempts to maintain normalcy while everything has fundamentally changed. Alina works alongside a mixed team of human scientists and alien researchers in a sprawling underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. The walls are lined with exotic materials designed to dampen the effects of the ancient tongue, necessary precautions as more humans develop abilities without fully understanding them. "We've identified 7 distinct genetic sequences," explains Dr. Nguyen, projecting a complex double helix onto the central display. Each one corresponds to different precursor abilities awakening in the human population. The avian Rezik scientist clicks his beak thoughtfully. "Fascinating. Your species carries more complete precursor coding than any documented in Council archives." Alina studies the genetic display, recognizing patterns that would have been meaningless to her weeks ago. These sequences, they're not just randomly distributed. They're designed to activate in sequence, like a computer program initializing systems in a specific order. The revelation silences the research team. Humanity isn't just carrying precursor Na. We're executing a genetic algorithm designed billions of years ago. "There's something else," Alina continues, pulling up ancient text fragments provided reluctantly by council archives. These records suggest the precursors weren't destroyed. They faced some kind of existential threat and enacted a desperate preservation plan. The holographic display shifts to show fragmentary records from various alien archives, pieced together like an archaeological puzzle. Images show beings of pure energy making a terrible choice. They encoded themselves into us, Alina whispers as the pieces connect in her mind. Not just their knowledge or language, but their actual consciousness, distributed across our genome, designed to gradually reassemble as our brains evolved sufficient complexity to contain it. Before the implications can fully sink in, alarms blare throughout the facility. Security feeds show chaos erupting at the perimeter, a heavily armed group of humans forcing their way inside. Terran first, growls General Rodriguez, recognizing the extremist insignia. Human supremacists who think alien contact is contaminating humanity's purity. Alina feels a chill. They don't understand what they're interfering with. Gunfire echoes through the corridors as security forces engage the intruders. Amid the chaos, several Terran First operatives breach the secure archives, containing ancient precursor texts and artifacts. They're after the lexicon fragments, realizes Dr. Nguyen in horror. The council restricted those for a reason. Alina and the general race toward the archives, but they're too late. The terrorists have already downloaded critical data and stolen several artifacts. As security closes in, the Terran First leader, a charismatic former linguistics professor, holds up a crystalline device. Humanity will not be controlled, he shouts, before speaking 3 precise words in the ancient tongue, words that make reality itself convulse. Alina recognizes the phrase from precursor warnings. A reality shear incantation. Everybody down, she screams, pulling the general to the floor as reality ripples outward from the terrorist leader. The surveillance feed from their remote island headquarters shows the aftermath hours later. That perfect hemispherical void where their facility once stood, extending deep into Earth's crust. No radiation, no debris, simply absence, as if that section of reality had been erased from existence. In emergency council sessions, the insectoid representative speaks the consensus. The quarantine is insufficient. Humanity has demonstrated it cannot be trusted with the power awakening within them. As council enforcers establish perimeters around human cities worldwide, Alina receives an encrypted message from an unexpected ally, the Voxeri scholar who first recognized the precursor markers in human DNA. They fear what you will become. Meet me at these coordinates to learn why. The Alpine Research Facility hums with activity despite the late hour. Council observers monitor every experiment from reinforced observation chambers, their anxiety palpable even through protective barriers. Alina's team has worked for weeks to develop safe protocols for exploring the ancient tongue, but progress remained frustratingly slow until today. Play it again, Alina instructs, leaning forward as the autistic teenager, a 16-year-old math prodigy named Marcus, demonstrates his breakthrough on the modified piano. His fingers dance across keys that have been recalibrated to produce sounds beyond normal human hearing range. As he plays, specialized equipment visualizes sound waves that intertwine and create complex patterns in the air. Bach's mathematical precision creates foundational harmonics, Marcus explains without looking up from the keyboard, but it's missing the third resonance layer that the ancient tongue requires. He shifts to a different composition, one of his own creation, and the visualized patterns suddenly snap into a geometric formation that makes the alien observers stir with recognition. That's it, whispers a Voxeri scientist, its crystalline form brightening with excitement. He's recreating the basic harmonic structure of precursor communication. Alina feels a strange resonance within her mind as Marcus plays, dormant knowledge responding to the musical patterns. The ancient tongue isn't just about individual words, she realizes aloud. It's about creating harmonic relationships. Music is the closest analogy we have. Dr. Miyoshi, a quantum physicist, points to readings from their instruments, Look at the subatomic measurements. When he plays these sequences, quantum probabilities briefly align instead of remaining in superposition. The implications are staggering. The ancient tongue doesn't just describe reality. It temporarily collapses quantum uncertainty in specific patterns, literally crystallizing probability into the speaker's intended outcome. The first controlled experiment proceeds under maximum security protocols. A simple granite boulder is placed in a reinforced chamber as Marcus and Alina together sing a carefully constructed phrase. While following the musical structure Marcus discovered. For a breathtaking moment, nothing happens. Then the boulder simply dissolves, its component atoms vibrating in perfect harmony before reconstituting exactly as before. No energy signatures, no radiation, just a perfect transformation from matter to energy and back again. News of this achievement spreads rapidly through council communication channels, triggering immediate political repercussions. The Voxery ambassador addresses Earth's Security Council hours later. What your species has accomplished in weeks took other civilizations centuries to master, she explains, her form shimmering with complex emotions. This validates our faction's position that humanity carries the true precursor legacy. Alina senses the unspoken implications, and the opposing factions. What do they want? The Voxery's colors dim slightly. The Hive Collective leads several species who view humanity as an existential threat. They argue that no single species should wield such power, especially one as young and volatile as yours. Footage from council sessions shows the insectoid Hive Queen addressing her allies, her translator rendering her clicking speech into English. If the humans fully awaken the precursor consciousness within them, they will possess power that could reshape the galaxy according to their whims. Can we trust such godlike power to a species that still makes war upon itself? What the public broadcasts don't show, but Alina learns through her Voxery contacts, is the Hive Collective's secret military buildup in the outer solar system. Massive weapons platforms disguised as scientific outposts move into position, powered by technology designed to operate outside normal physics, weapons specifically engineered to penetrate any defense created by the ancient tongue. Their positioning planet killers, General Rodriguez informs a stunned Joint Chiefs meeting, and we have no way to detect them until they're active. Alina stares at the star charts, understanding with growing clarity that humanity faces extinction not for what we've done, but for what we might become. The quantum network spreads across continents, connecting millions of human minds through a delicate web of entangled particles. Each volunteer wears a sleek headset designed by human engineers working alongside Voxery scientists, technology that translates neural patterns into stable expressions of the ancient tongue. Alina monitors the system from the primary hub in Geneva, her consciousness increasingly divided between her physical presence and the vast network connecting humanity. The shared dream space grows more vivid with each passing day. Crystalline cities rising from quantum foam, mathematical equations that breathe and dance like living things, memories of stars being born. The network is stabilizing faster than projected, reports Dr. Carrillo, her eyes fixed on flowing data streams that resemble constellations. 7 million unique neural signatures now contributing to the harmonic baseline. Alina nods, recognizing patterns that hint at something greater forming within the collective consciousness. It's not just connecting us to each other, she observes. It's reconstructing something older. Across the globe, participants report identical experiences, knowledge emerging fully formed in their minds, technical innovations appearing in dreams, ancient languages suddenly comprehensible upon waking. Children especially adapt quickly, their neural plasticity allowing deeper integration with the awakening precursor memories. In a kindergarten in Seoul, 30 children simultaneously begin drawing identical diagrams of impossible machines. In Lagos, a street vendor starts speaking a language never before documented on Earth, describing stellar navigation techniques to bewildered customers. The council observation team grows increasingly agitated as these reports flood in. The awakening is proceeding exponentially faster than anticipated. The RESIC scientist warns the emergency committee. At this rate, full integration could occur within weeks, not years. Alina senses something else, a shadow at the edges of the network, watching. Careful probing reveals subtle intrusions in the quantum substrate, code fragments designed to monitor and potentially disrupt the human collective. "We have company," she informs General Rodriguez during a secure briefing. "The Hive Collective has infiltrated our systems." Before countermeasures can be implemented, the attack begins. Maintenance drones throughout the facility suddenly activate security protocols, flooding critical systems with corrupted data packets. Warning sirens blare as the quantum network destabilizes, threatening to collapse with potentially catastrophic neural feedback to all connected humans. "They're trying to trigger a cascading failure," shouts Dr. Miyoshi as she frantically works to isolate affected systems. If the network collapses while participants are fully connected, it could cause mass brain damage. Alina feels something ancient stirring within her consciousness, knowledge awakening in response to the emergency. She gathers 17 researchers with the strongest precursor markers, arranging them in a precise geometric pattern within the central chamber. "I need you to follow my lead exactly," she instructs, her voice carrying harmonic overtones that make the air shimmer. "Don't think about the words. Feel them forming within you." As alarms scream and reality warps around overloading quantum processors, Alina begins a phrase in the ancient tongue that none of them consciously recognize. The 17 researchers join in perfect synchronization, their voices weaving a complex pattern that seems to stabilize the very fabric of space-time around them. Instead of the expected system collapse, their consciousnesses expand outward, merging not just with each other, but with millions connected to the network. In that eternal moment beyond time, they glimpse the truth, images flooding their collective awareness like a dam breaking. Countless diverse species joining consciousness across millennia, transcending physical form, evolving into a shared intelligence that spanned the galaxy, facing a threat from beyond known space. The desperate decision to preserve their collective knowledge by encoding it within nascent species throughout the cosmos. Humanity carrying the final keystones of that legacy. As the vision fades and their individual consciousness reassert themselves, Alina understands with perfect clarity what the precursors truly were and what humanity is meant to become. Across the solar system, sensors on Hive Collective warships detect unprecedented energy signatures emanating from Earth. On the flagship bridge, the Hive Queen hisses a single command: begin the attack sequence. The golden barrier shimmers across Earth's atmosphere, catching final rays of sunlight as night falls across the Americas. On the streets below, crowds gather in silent awe, watching the celestial light show that signifies humanity's first collective act of ancient tongue manipulation. Aboard the Hive flagship, the Queen's compound eyes reflect holographic displays showing weapon systems failing across her fleet. Engineering drones scurry across control surfaces, frantically attempting to restore functionality to technology suddenly rendered useless. Impossible, she clicks to her generals. Our systems were specifically designed to operate outside the influence of the ancient tongue. Her chief scientist's antennae quiver anxiously. The humans have created something new, a grammatical structure our linguists have never documented. They're not merely repeating precursor phrases, they're innovating within the language framework itself. This revelation sends ripples of terror through the command deck. Innovation within the ancient tongue was precisely what the Council feared most. New words of power that could reshape reality in unpredictable ways. Back on Earth, Alina stands in the quantum network's central hub, her consciousness still echoing with the experience of 7 million minds briefly united as one. Monitors show the barrier maintaining perfect stability, requiring no additional energy input to sustain itself. It's not just deflecting their weapons, observes Dr. Miyoshi, studying energy readings with astonishment. It's transmuting the energy into a completely harmless form. No radiation, no heat, just light. Even more remarkable is what hasn't happened. Despite wielding power that could easily have destroyed the attacking fleet, the collective human consciousness chose only to defend, not attack. The barrier protects without harming, a demonstration of both power and unprecedented restraint. We could have obliterated them, General Rodriguez says quietly, voicing what everyone realizes. When we joined together, I felt options for counterattacks forming in the collective consciousness. We chose not to use them. This decision reverberates through council chambers across the galaxy. Emergency sessions convene as footage spreads showing human children chanting simple words that produced fluttering butterflies of pure light, elderly volunteers healing wounds with gentle harmonic tones, farmers speaking phrases that rejuvenate depleted soil, countless small demonstrations of the ancient tongue being used for creation rather than destruction. The Voxery ambassador addresses the reformed council majority, her crystalline form vibrating with emotion. For 50,000 years, we have feared the return of precursor power. Yet here we witness something unprecedented, such power wielded with compassion and restraint. Perhaps this is why the precursors chose humanity as their vessels. On the lunar embassy, diplomatic channels reopen as 17 council species formally recognize humanity's right to exist and develop their abilities. The Hive Collective and their allies retreat to distant systems, their worldview shattered by weapons rendered useless against a species they considered primitive just months ago. Alina receives the news with quiet satisfaction, but her attention remains focused on something far more significant: the continuing awakening of collective consciousness across humanity. Each time the quantum network activates, the joining becomes easier, the shared mind more coherent and purposeful. What happened today wasn't just about defending Earth, she explains to world leaders gathered in emergency session. It was our first step toward becoming what the precursors intended: a unified consciousness capable of bridging the divisions between all sentient life. As Earth's night side passes beneath the shimmering golden barrier, millions look skyward with new understanding. The ancient tongue that once nearly destroyed the galaxy now offers something unexpected: hope for a form of existence beyond the limitations of individual minds and the conflicts they generate. In the vastness between stars, something ancient stirs in response. Fragments of consciousness scattered across countless species beginning to resonate with the reawakening pattern emanating from Earth. Alina stands before the newly formed Precursor Awakening Initiative headquarters, its architecture unlike anything previously seen on Earth, a seamless blend of human aesthetic principles and alien functional design. Crystalline spires catch the morning light, refracting it into patterns that subtly influence the mood of all who enter, promoting harmony and open communication. Inside, mixed species research teams work on integrating the diverse fragments of precursor knowledge distributed throughout galactic civilizations. Voxery crystallographers unlock mathematical formulas encoded in Earth's earliest cave paintings. Razic auditory specialists analyze human music spanning centuries, finding echoes of ancient tongue structures in everything from Gregorian chants to jazz improvisation. The Hive Collective remains officially isolated, though unofficial diplomatic channels suggest their position may be softening, as evidence of the precursors' true intentions becomes irrefutable. The precursors didn't disappear, Alina explains to a gathering of Earth's foremost scientists and alien dignitaries. They evolved beyond the limitations of physical form, becoming something new, a collective consciousness that transcended individual species. Holographic displays show the reconstructed history, how the most advanced civilizations of a previous galactic cycle voluntarily merged their consciousness into a singular entity, preserving their diversity within unity. This collective entity eventually faced a threat from outside the galaxy itself, a void between galaxies that consumed light, matter, and even consciousness itself. Unable to defeat this threat directly, Alina continues, they enacted a preservation strategy, encoding aspects of their collective knowledge and consciousness into the genomes of promising species across the galaxy. Each species received different fragments, with humanity carrying the final keystones. As she speaks, displays show genetic maps of various council species, highlighting complementary sequences that only make sense when viewed together. A distributed backup of the greatest civilization the galaxy had ever known. Humans weren't meant to replace the precursors, she emphasizes. We were designed to help rebuild what was lost, to serve as the connective tissue between species, helping all sentient life remember that they once were, and could be again, part of something greater than themselves. This revelation transforms galactic politics. Instead of competing for precursor technology or knowledge, species now collaborate to complete the pattern. The ancient tongue, once feared as a weapon, becomes a bridge between civilizations, a means of sharing consciousness and experience across biological boundaries. On dozens of worlds, mixed species research teams make breakthrough discoveries as precursor knowledge continues awakening. Earth children educated in both human languages and the ancient tongue grow into natural diplomats who can see connections between seemingly unrelated fields of knowledge. In what was once the forbidden zone at the galactic core, a joint expedition discovers ancient precursor sensors still monitoring the intergalactic void. Data suggests the threat that forced their transformation remains distant but real, a challenge that will require a unified response from all sentient life. As preparations for the first human-crewed extragalactic exploration vessels near completion, Elena takes a moment alone in her quarters. Through the viewport, Earth glows blue and green against the blackness of space, the golden barrier now visible only as an occasional shimmer, a reminder rather than a necessity. She traces her fingers against the cool glass, watching distant stars. When she speaks, her voice carries harmonic overtones that make the air itself resonate with meaning. We were never meant to conquer, she whispers in a blend of human language and ancient tongue that bridges worlds. We were meant to remember, to reconnect, to remind everyone that the stars once sang together, and will again. Across the vastness of space, countless minds, human and alien alike, sense her words, not as sound, but as a resonance within their very being. Something ancient and patient stirs within the collective consciousness of the galaxy, recognizing the first notes of a song it had almost forgotten.